Hey everybody, welcome to We're Dying Down Here with our special guest, Shane Mauss.
Hey, actually dying of sleep deprivation.
Yeah, same here.
I was like, well, I bet I'm going to look pretty tired on camera. And then I looked at you and I'm like, I think I'm okay.
You look like Sleepy Jesus.
Yeah.
Not woke Jesus.
Oh, yeah. A little bit of both.
A little bit of both.
Sleepy, woke.
Sleepy, woke.
And
Drowsy
I also
Jesus.
feel-
It's like the only eye that's open is the third eye.
I'm also like a bit of a zombie right now, too. So
It's all right.
kind of got all the Jesus aspects going on.
So we go back a long ways, kind of.
Yes.
So we didn't. Well, we sort of met in passing. It was the very first festival I did. It was in Knoxville, Scruffy City Comedy Festival in Knoxville, Tennessee. You were on the cane from.
Getting on that cane. People
Wait,
probably think we're talking about cocaine.
What is? Wait,
I actually
I'm
had
trying to know what
foot
this,
injury.
What
Yeah.
is this? Oh,
An actual cane.
You broke.
Literally.
What a weird way
So
to
he was
say
on that
he was on
lean.
the cane. Yeah.
He was,
Not a weird
he was
way to
leaning
say-
to the
No,
side.
you're actually talking correctly, but the language
I forget
of
what
the
show
world
we're
dude,
that
I
we
literally
live
was
in
like,
is
you're just like outing Shane
yeah,
right now.
yeah. He was on all the.
Cocaine
I
Shane.
mean, there was. I promise you, there were a couple times where I was on cocaine on a cane as a Shane.
No, so you broke both feet, right?
Oh
Was
yeah,
that- yeah.
ages ago. Yeah,
Yeah,
put
so-
together a whole stick about
At the same time?
and-
Yeah, at the same time, like a dummy.
yeah.
What happened? I gotta know. I don't know if I.
I was in the best shape of my life. I'm an adrenaline junkie. I jumped off something that was too high while I was hiking and broke both my heels. One of them exploded. I spent a
And he
year
has
on
an album called
crutches and-
My Big Break,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that's I had saw you there. You were the headliners over there, like Jackie Cation and a few others. And then you came through what 2016 or
2015,
17?
2016, something
Yeah,
like that.
and JP's, and then you came down. You were doing a podcast. I remember you went to interview a monkey farm, not the whole monkey farm, but a person who runs the monkey farm,
In Louisiana,
Yeah.
Chimp Haven.
Chimp Haven. Yeah,
That's right.
And it was 2016 because we went kayaking because I had surgery that December. I remember.
I remember it well. I was thinking about it today.
Yeah.
While I was on a boat.
He took a swamp tour, this guy.
I took a
Nice.
swamp tour today, and I actually had fond memories of our little kayaking adventure.
I remember you were like, "Is there alligators?" I'm like, "Yeah." You're like, "Can I see an alligator?" I'm like, "Look to the left," and then. And you wanted to get close to it. I'm like, yeah, get close to it. And you check it out. I'm like, I have your new album, My Big Bite, My Big Break, My Big Bite. And then we ran into...
Chicken, you blowing me up
I
like
know, bro.
that,
I mean,
bro?
yeah,
Can't you
This
just
dude was
stick
scared
with
of a
me doing-
man-eating reptile. Are you kidding me?
Can't
He was
you,
a
can't you
4-footer.
stick with the me
Sorry.
abusing cocaine while
yeah.
on a cane?
you
and
gave
my
this
name,
alligator
Shane?
cocaine,
Can
and
you
then,
stick with more of that kind of shit?
Promised him
talking
acting work, and here he is. And then we ran into each other. We had a great show.
I just found out today that alligators they will have nothing to do with humans unless you're on a reality show just razzing
wrestling
one
them,
to
yeah.
like
Or
get
if you're a
one-
chicken.
to
Yeah.
get one go.
If you wear a necklace made of turkey meat.
It's the guy say like a like a large like badger or something like that, 30-40 pounds. Say a 8-foot alligator ate one of those bad boys. You know how long that's gonna last it? About a year.
Jeez.
Dang.
They don't eat.
I
They're
did not know
cold-blooded.
that.
They spend most of their time hibernating. They have absolutely no use for anything our size and have no interest in messing with us in any way.
They like-
unless some schmuck with a camera starts deciding that he
Named
wants to
T-Bob,
jump
yeah.
on it. And,
They like little dogs, yeah, if you live by the water or live in Florida.
Or a baby.
Or
here and there.
a baby. Or if you're at Disney, they take them over
Oh,
there.
that little boy. I remember that.
Did you know him?
Okay.
move on.
T-Bob.
And then we ran. So we had the show JP's, which was phenomenal, and then we ran into each other at Hell Yes Fest, and it's been a long time. So
I never did my psychedelic show through here.
Yeah, you did.
You did,
So,
yeah.
So I'll the
the big break album release, I went on Pete Holmes. You know, I did a few different podcasts trying to promote it, and try to get those clicks and downloads, spread the word, the whole this and that. And Pete Holmes goes, "Where were you?" And I was like, "Oh, I was in Arizona." Or where were you when you broke your feet? And he's like, "What were you doing in Arizona?" And I was like, "I was going to do ayahuasca." I didn't get a chance to do it because I broke my feet first. Anyhow, let's talk more about my broken feet. And he's like, "No, what's ayahuasca?" And I was like, "Well, there's this stuff DMT that I kind of got obsessed with." And he's like, "What?" Anyway, my broken feet. Yeah.
Is this the genesis
like,
of the psychedelic
genesis.
show?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then he goes, "What's DMT?" And I was like, "Yeah." I started sharing some DMT experiences, and it just stopped. The whole conversation just became about DMT, my ideas about it.
You see, you
and
made
then
it
people
weird.
I did make it weird. And people started messaging me like crazy and asking me to come on to talk about this, new DMT stuff that people were just starting to hear about and everything. And I was like, "Oh, I actually didn't know there was like demand to hear this because I have like all this psychedelic material. I didn't know there was like any one interest. Like I just have been doing psychedelics by myself for nearly 30 years, and so I didn't know there was I wasn't in like a Burning Man culture or anything like that. I had no idea like there was a community of psychedelic users that exists. I had no idea, and so that was the origin story of that show.
You were here July 15th of 2016. So that's when you came through with that.
That would have been just before launching the official tour that ended up being 111 city.
Yeah.
Well, I have a
tour.
poster.
That was when I was still kind of working
Bad
it
Trip.
out.
Was it Bad Trip?
It was still. Was it called the Bad Trip tour?
Good Trip.
Good Trip. Yeah.
And this
there you
one's
go.
is this one Bad Trip?
This one's Better Trip.
Better Trip.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's a whole long
my
thing,
poster
too.
says,
And both were in lieu of a better title. I originally called the show "This Is Your Shane on Drugs."
so good.
I know.
That's so good.
And it created so much confusion. Like people thought I was gonna be like shooting heroin on stage or
That's
whatever.
Tomorrow Night
It was
show,
just
but,
like it just created too many dumbass questions and about it. People make assumptions about things, and it's, most of the time they mean well. They're just like genuinely curious. But like, what's the, and you have like you guys have a show where like person gets drunk or stoned, and
stoned,
sober,
drunk, sober,
right?
yeah.
So there's a few of these things like that bubble up, and that's all well and fun and but my show is about psychedelic. My show's not meant to.
Right.
I'm not going to be tripping. You're not meant to be tripping.
I mean, you could be,
and that's now a difficult no.
I
would. And some do for sure. But that's everyone has a different relationship to psychedelics, and it's certainly not how I would prefer.
Like out in public at a comedy show. Yeah.
I mean, I generally don't actually do psychedelics as often as you'd think, someone with a psychedelic show. And when I do them, I usually like really, really go for it in a very serious and probably reckless way. And so I'd want to be like laid out on the floor listening to music or something. Like there's nothing in me that would want to like go and pay attention to like someone talking,
Right.
Yeah.
While tripping, like that has no appeal to me anyway. I will say that constantly people will come up to me and be like, "Oh, I ate a gram or two of mushrooms or whatever," and then also we've had a couple incidents where someone probably was like, "I've always wanted to try tripping." And this is going to be like my time to try. And so,
Also, here's some lights and graphics, too. Yeah.
And we work, it's a bit of a hat on a hat. The show is meant to be a trip in and of itself. I mean, it's an experience in and of itself. And so to, like, also be tripping, whatever. but it's just but we do everything that we can to convey that. I have like I have a lot of people that I work with and collaborate with and chat with and employ and everything else to answer those very questions, to have these kinds of conversations and then go like, well, how do we like signal this in the right way? Yeah. Like you can see one of my pinned posts on Instagram is like is explaining this very question. Should I come tripping to your show? But I also might just be a little stubborn in my because certainly there's an ideal, like for example, when I do MDMA, I can't smile correctly. Like there's something like weird about my smile that is like strange and creepy, and it's like like jaw clenchy kind of thing. Yeah. And like I wouldn't want to feel that during a comedy show. Not everyone feels that during a comedy show. Also, it's comedy, so it's like, I mean, I guess my style lends itself to more of like a we're gathered around a campfire kind of heart-opening-ish experience, I suppose.
But you still have
do you want to like be in
you still have
feeling
punchlines.
Lovey-dovey and stuff in a
You're here
comedy
for a
show?
purpose,
Like,
so it's that
all of it. Like if I had my choice in the matter, if someone writes me and it's like, should I come tripping to your show? I go, no, that's not what it. But I'm not trying to tell anyone how to live their lives or whatever. But I am trying to manage and navigate the stupid assumptions that people make about how an experience is going to be, and it's. Even with the visual element of it, it's not a Pink Floyd laser light show. I mean, tripping should be about having your own thoughts and exploring your own mind and your own ideas bubbling up, not having to focus on someone else's ideas
or force it.
I feel the same way as you, but sometimes I worry.
Fine, eat mushrooms tomorrow.
I wonder if I'm being too
he's gonna be eating
about it sometimes. Like, do you ever feel pretentious about it?
Yeah.
Like whenever you because like I give the same what you just expressed is how I feel too, and I tell people the same thing. But then afterward, I'll be like, but also, man, do your own thing, whatever you feel like doing.
Yeah, I mean, this is I'm very into cognitive biases. So I'm actually so science is like my main interest, and for me, psychedelics and drugs are the gateway to science. So talking about these subject matters are a nice way to talk about perception and consciousness and kind of how we kind of understand what we know and what we know is real and not real. There's a lot of opportunity there in these substances that make you, like, say, hallucinate or perceive things or bring things that are already inside you but heighten them to like a cartoonish way. Yeah. And so what cognitive biases are kind of the predictable way in which if you take a large sample size of a population, the predictable way in which the human brain will err. And so say there's a situation in life where you could go like left or you could go right in some like given situation, and you find out that the majority of people go left. Like, why is that? And then you kind of investigate that. So one of these cognitive biases is actually and it's the most pretentiously named one. It's called the curse of knowledge, which is exactly what you guys were articulating, which is simply that once you learn something, and then especially once you get enough experience and then have mastery over a subject matter, it gets harder and harder sometimes, unless you also are gaining experience training new people or something like that, which is a different thing. but it gets harder and harder to relate to the beginner mindset. It
Absolutely.
Everything seems so obvious once you know
'cause
it.
you
really
have all
well.
the building blocks by which your thinking is now based on, and they don't.
And it's just nearly impossible to put
Right.
yourself back in that mindset of like, oh, I remember being nervous that first day on the job and all that, and those little intuitive errors that you make. That's a easy. That's a really. I think Doug Stanhope has some joke about it. That's something to the effect of, I will get mad at someone for not knowing something that I learned 1 hour ago.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No.
You didn't know that?
You ever try to help an older person use a phone, like an iPhone or a computer?
and it's
no.
hard.
It's like, what? Come on. Yeah. Oh, man. All right. That's good. That's me.
This is the deepest
day.
we've ever got in
Yeah.
10 episodes of this podcast.
We're getting down, though.
I am
Yeah.
fucking loving it.
So you got any jokes about titties? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. So let's talk about the show. So this is going to be out a couple weeks after the show, but tell us about the show and the tour and everything that's going on with it.
Look, I got
That's a lot.
like a little prelude, and
Yeah.
there's some stress in Shane's life right now.
It's not even that. It's just if I'm just I have a lot of great things going on, and trying to like keep everything organized and intact and run and trying to manage all of the wonderful opportunities as we're like doing larger and larger venues and more shows and it's just a lot to manage. And I was had some hiccups a couple of weeks ago in the form of breakups and stuff that threw everything off and just put a lot more pressure on the touring system than existed. So it's just, so instead of working 11-hour days, I'm working 14-hour days, which is just like a bit,
Just a grind, yeah.
Tired.
Yeah.
So I'm a tired boy. But I love having all these conversations. That's just such a general question that I just don't know where to start. Tell us about the tour and the show. Let's do basics.
Let's
How
go.
about basics?
Let's go from the evolution of from the first the one we talked about in 2016, that one to what you are now. Plus, in the middle of that, I know you had the documentary, the movie, everything, and everything with you, and then COVID's changed a lot of people. It changed you for the Harrier. You've gone through several evolutions or rebirths or just whatever. Like from back then to we are right here.
How'd that happen?
Yeah, how'd that happen?
Yeah,
There you
so
go.
I went from doing like a regular stand-up sort of stuff and Comedy Central things and got to accomplish those goals. And
You
that
had a
was
half
lot of
hour,
fun.
right?
And
Did you have a half hour on Comedy
yeah,
Central?
I had a half hour. It kind of ruined my life in a way that it was all that I wanted to do. I did it. It went great. I crushed it. It was exactly what I hoped it would be. And then afterwards, I was like,
Damn.
well, now what do I do?
And that's when half hours meant something because people, Comedy Central was a channel
15 years ago.
Yeah.
And so I started. I started kind of examining my life. I was always reading science. I was touring internationally at the time. I started doing themed shows, and so I started thinking about, well, how would I convey some of these bigger ideas in a way that fits a comedy show? So is there a way in which, like, say there's an audience that's hungry for titty jokes? Is there a way that somehow I can crowbar in there some lessons about evolution, like the human titties actually don't make a lot a
I think I got a new tour coming, but go ahead. Sorry.
For a few reasons, and like for example, if you look at most titties in the animal kingdom,
There's at least 6 of them.
They aren't that, they aren't that big of a deal.
They aren't like, you know?
that substantial. Generally, it actually doesn't take much of a titty to produce that much of milk. There isn't. It's not like ladies that have large titties produce more milk than. So
that's true.
Which is what like an 8-year-old would believe or something. Like imagine how much milk is in those things, and so. Why have a weighty sort of thing that is like hurting your back and everything else, and it gets into these complicated ideas of how organisms generally advertise fitness is by doing things that are hard. So making something that is symmetrical is something that's probably showing that both your genes and your ability to navigate the environment or privileged environment that you found yourself in or something like that, your ability to find resources, has made you able to sustain some sort of symmetry. And then if you think about like how guys store fat, like midsections here, right? So we got these midsections here, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at about any mammal, you're going to see about the same exact thing, usually in males and females. If you're going to store fat, it makes it the most sense to store it toward the center of gravity, so you have this reserve of energy toward your center of gravity, so it's not taking more energy to lug this stuff around. So why have these things up here that are heavier than they're supposed to be and everything else? And there's speculation that that is perhaps just because of just how very difficult that is to do. It's because of the weightiness of it. It's because it's also easier to evaluate symmetry and all of these other things that you're able to determine all of these things from the genes and that males that selected for these traits and happen to so say a female was carrying more of her weight in the midsection. What would you say? You would say that would be that would look like a pregnant woman. It would potentially come off as a pregnant woman. You can't make a pregnant woman pregnant, and so it's potential that fat reserves got dispersed away from the midsection. So that
that's crazy.
From places away, so you have a large ass and titties and these ways of evaluating symmetry. And so, how do you take something like that and make it funny? Impossible.
You just impossible. Yeah,
impossible.
No. Anyway, guys, I have a new show: Stone versus Titties versus. Yeah, all right.
So I liked the idea of one day being able to take any word or subject like that and be able to break down some sort of thing about science or that explains how our perception or our conscious experience or the things that we're attracted to come to be. And I knew when I started that it was going to take me like a solid 5 years to learn as much as I wanted to be able to start putting together shows about it. I started obsessively watching online courses and things like that, and just in the meantime, I just rode whatever clout that I already had from getting on all of the like late night things and stuff, and took the hit of like showing up to a comedy club and being like, I liked him more when he wasn't talking about anything meaningful or interesting.
Where are the jokes, Shane?
Yeah, exactly. And then that was like a whole other thing to figure out and navigate, and then I learned how to produce shows and market shows to curate them to audiences that would resonate with a given bit of material and a given I have so many fans that are like broke their leg or something at some point and they're fucking friends are like, you gotta listen to this comedy album.
Yeah.
So like and really that album is about the evolution of why we experience negative emotions and the utility of pain and suffering and all that sort of thing. But
I knew that.
I couched it in a personal experience, which is what people enjoy. And so that was kind of the journey. That's how it all kind of started coming together. And
so as somebody who's seen your like 2016 show, what's the evolution?
Well, one, there's a live VJ that provides the visuals. So
yes, it's a completely different kind of show.
Yeah, there's new material and a lot of things switched around and everything, of course. But it was originally going to be a new show, and then I just decided, it'd be kind of boring to get into, I imagine. But the main thing is that for the only thing that was always missing with the psychedelic show, because afterwards I set aside and I went and I did a bunch of science-themed shows and did a bunch of different other things. And I always have a zillion projects going on. But it always bothered me that I wasn't able to that I hadn't yet integrated the visual aspect of the psych. That was like the only thing that it was missing. And it took a long time of collaborating with a bunch of different psychedelic artists, and then eventually collaborating with this VJ who works with me full time now. Michael Strauss is his name. So he's a video jockey, and he provides real-time visuals for a bunch of different bands. And
how did you
actually, it was kind of the shortest version of the story is we were at a conference together that I was emceeing, and he was VJing in the room, and it was one of those moving Van Gogh kind of exhibit type spaces. And so it was all four. It was like a rectangle with all four walls, projection mapping, and I was watching for 3 days. I was watching his ability to like add atmosphere and also articulate little bits of things here and there when
on the fly
when speakers were on stage and talking about different subjects. And I was like, well, I just solved that problem.
I got a gig for you.
And so if I understand this right, so he's not with you. He's back in his place, and he's like...
We started it together in person, but he does it remotely just simply because he can't tour in the way that I do. Nice. He has a family.
And then so every show's different, depends on what's going on in the...
I mean, different's a relative term. So certainly he has lots of familiarity with my material. I would say that we have 4 or 5 hours of material that gets rotated in to a given show, but like the framework of the 90 minutes is like, I kind of... I'm always exploring different things, but right now I'm like marijuana, mushrooms, LSD, ayahuasca, DMT, ketamine, the little closing message, and that's how I have the show structured. Sometimes I have history of psychedelics, and then these points and this point and sciencey things here, and so that's just where it's at right now. So he knows it's going to be like kind of that rhythm. Mm-hmm. So in any one of those sections, he could have like atmosphere on just kind of related to one of those substances, for instance. However, then he has lots of like both pre-made stuff and stuff from hearing other things that are so that he can articulate things in the moment. So that when I have a punchline, there's curated art that we have at that moment. But also, there's always about 15 minutes of improv each show, like where I'm going off on a rant or something.
You get up
like
here
that
and you go, okay, what do you guys want to talk about? Right? No, I'm joking. Give me a place.
We actually might tomorrow, just so people can understand the process a little bit better. So actually what he's doing is, because he's so fast and he's so good, people think that we've just designed an AI-based technology that
He's not
is
real.
just, like,
Yeah.
doing, but the reality of it is that he just has a 20-year catalog of a bunch of things from a zillion different shows. So if say I have a reference to cats or something in a show, he'll go back through a library of past shows and find like several different cats or something.
Yeah.
That actually happened. There's a service dog in the show recently that started barking and interrupted the show, and I made a little joke about it, and then he had a bunch of like crazy, amazing like dog art and stuff from past shows that he then blends and layers and makes it seem really smooth and it just makes it flow in such a way that like you can tell people have a hard time understanding if I'm like just following some perfect script. But it'd be impossible, like timing wise, and everything else is just impossible. I change the order around of things, and I riff on things and everything else. And so that's the show as best as I can describe the visual aspect of it. I don't mean to, like, I don't know how to say it without being like, every show is different.
Yeah.
But it's not like we're just starting from scratch every single show.
Yeah.
You know.
So, like you said earlier, like you had a history with psychedelics, right, and everything.
Yeah.
Did you just dive deeper into the science and everything behind it when you started focusing on these shows, or were you always deep?
No, my personal journey with psychedelics and the blending of science is that I have usually like larger kind of psychedelic experiences, and then I just find myself going like obsessively going like, how can a brain do that? Like, how could I perceive such a thing? You know, some people are like, oh, it's out there, or you're tapping into this universal consciousness or whatever. It's not my perception of it, but even if that were the case, you're still perceiving things in your brain. So why would your
at the very least you're an antenna for it, right?
Yeah, why would your brain perceive like particular things like that? And I kind of come up with ideas, and then just in traveling around interviewing scientists about other things, that was like, you know, today I went and saw some gators, and I was just asking a zillion questions about how much they can eat and how long and all of that, and gestation periods and all that. And so that's just the sort of thing that I'm interested in. And then once in a while I'll find myself asking questions that were inspired by psychedelic experiences, and then I'll learn something new about how the mind works and be like, oh, maybe that could explain why people kind of systematically seem to have this same experience, or this is like a commonly reported thing during the psychedelic experience. And I also would say that like I kind of now view a lot of psychedelic culture from like what I consider an outsider perspective, and so to me, a lot of psychedelic culture like fits into these like weird molds and maybe even stereotypes and archetypes. I don't mean to like paint with broad brushes, but there is like, you know, there's a difference between the like more adventurous person or like the more that is like also science minded about it. That would be a psychonaut.
Somebody trying to use it as a tool to just better them. Yeah.
Some people wellness. And there's the microdosers out there that are optimizing their lives in every which way. There's the spiritual side of it. There's still the like classic tie-dye hippies around,
Jason,
but there's
he
a
just
new
takes mushrooms
kind
to
of...
have... Jason takes mushrooms to have better bowel movement, so...
Yeah, that's great. There's people just shitting harder and more mindfully.
And I'm not even
there.
eating them, so that's...
Yeah.
Sorry. Jesus Christ. I mean, It's funny because like going back to the 2016 years, no one was talking about microdosing down here. We just got medical marijuana like 2 years ago, and then now it's like the culture shifts, and it's become with the legalization everywhere, and then you got some states who are legalizing mushrooms and all that. Yeah. So I mean, if there's ever a time, I think more people are. It's not so taboo. More people are buying into it. It's not so
more
scary.
More people come to my show. The first tour was like a little more underground and what's going on here and secretive, and now it's a lot more like people are just genuinely curious that maybe don't even have experience themselves.
Because there's companies marketing mushrooms that may not be the psychedelic ones, but it's like, oh, you can microdose these and they're legal as safe. But I mean, so it's kind of coming everywhere.
Your Rashi, this and that.
Yeah.
This. Yeah. I mean, well, supplements are really having their day in the sun. I mean, there's always been something, My whole life, there's always been like Slim Fast or some fucking.
Yeah.
How do you know what's snake oil and what's not?
Well, that's tricky to know exactly, but like, if it's advertised on a podcast, it's probably, it's probably snake oil.
Heard it here first.
So, I mean, I think that there are ways that people can understand, how to evaluate some of these things a little bit better, and so that there are like simple kind of lessons that we can learn from science and little bits of like critical thinking that are just not that difficult. So, just think about motivated reasoning. So you go, everyone kind of gets this idea, like Coca-Cola's selling us this, or like, the opioid crisis was by these shady pharmaceuticals or whatever. But think deeper about what causes those, and you think like, well, there's a lot of human motivation to make money off of all sorts of things, and sometimes you have someone that's just like naturally ripped plus taking steroids plus has $1 million to like have a personal trainer or
Dana White,
whatever else, and you can present yourself in such a way, and then we're status seeking apes that you go like, oh, I just got to do what this guy says to do, and so I mean, that should be like, I guess I'm at a little bit of a loss, because some of those things should be easy ones to tune into. Now, I'm a fucking sucker too. Like, if I go into a convenience store and a piece of candy says new on it, I don't know what the fuck happens to my brain, but like, I'm gonna try that. Like, in my head,
they're making cookies and cream Twix now?
In my head, I'm like, cookies and cream Twix. I'm like, they must have, the candy technology must have advanced in some way recently.
I had a birthday cake Oreo yesterday, and it was amazing. It was.
Classic.
Just Oreo the classic. Technology is insane.
Yeah, an Oreo, but they call it birthday cake and had a different little filling in there.
Oh, so you got a good one.
Yeah, I got a good one. Then it was also like a dirt cake one, and it was it's.
Oh,
we have a friend. He's out of New Orleans, and he has a Instagram devoted to all the new Oreos, and I don't know where he gets them, like Oreo Undergrounds, but he goes through and it's. Yeah, man. But yeah, I saw it. I was like, wait, this is a different Oreo. I had to have it, and it was worth it. No regrets.
That's got to be like a very ethereal kind of space to work with in the Oreo market.
Oreo
A lot of people think it's kind of all black and white, but no, there's a lot going on there.
There's a lot of sprinkles in there, man.
There's a lot going on there. But I mean, the point is that you know, I'll go like, fucking nerds rope or whatever. I gotta try that, and then I eat it, and I'm like, no, they figured nerds out 30 years ago or whatever. There's a zillion little tricks like that we all fall for in different ways. We do it to other people. We try to negotiate and influence others.
You put a Reese's peanut butter cup in any other shape other than a circle, like a egg or a Christmas tree, I'm buying it. I'll buy them all.
I'll just grab a handful.
Little baby Jesus, I'll eat them. They taste so much better, you know. So.
Yeah. I mean, I think that. You know, a good thought experiment is just like walk into a GNC and go, hey, you know, I'm looking to
get skinny.
I'm looking to get skinny, get smart.
Skinny
I don't want to. I want to be more alert, but I want to sleep better as well. Increase IQ.
Boy, have I got something for you.
There's something with my earwax. I'd like to. I promise you,
they got it.
They will fill your cart with whatever.
Such a good point.
There isn't so,
and it's the same shit. You're like, I got yellow toenails.
It's the same shit.
Yeah, same.
And unless whatever you're trying to solve is cured by loose stool, and like probably.
Let's go to a sponsor.
Yeah, you know, and so then you go like, well, so like this and that fitness person just goes like, hey, I have my own brand of protein powder or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know. I mean, yes and no. Like, I have my own stuff that I'm working on and developing and stuff all the time, and it's really interesting to see the ins and outs of these sorts of markets and how it works. I'm interested in psychoactives that just give people a buzz. So I'm not trying to like cure anyone's this or that. I hope it doesn't help your life.
That's too much pressure for Shane.
It's a fun forward company.
I don't want to be responsible for somebody's life getting together.
Like big claims and all that.
Yeah.
You know, it's the sort of stuff that, like, you know, if someone's making a really big claim about something, then they should have like an incredible amount of evidence. And you also should be able to understand it. Like, you actually can understand. Like science is actually digestible. The reason why probably the general population doesn't view it as digestible is because people will often people kind of that are after the less educated type of clientele that's like, you know, has less judgment abilities and because of diet or social circumstances or whatever else. Just like when I'm tired, I'm more inclined to, like, you know, eat the garbage food or McDonald's or drink this to get me through the, you know, we all have that in us, and kind of people that go after that lower frequency. It's very easy to just throw a bunch of like sciencey sounding jargon. So you should be able to like understand the concept of what someone's saying. So if someone's just saying like, oh, this has eutiberol or whatever, and this and that, and you go, well, eutiberol, like a word that you just made up. Eutiberol sounds convincing. Yeah, it sounds very.
I still don't know whether it's real or not. So right now, in this moment,
it's not a real word that I made up actually on the spot right there. And that, like, for whatever reason, just like sounds. Now there's like it's hijacking different parts of your brain that are making the speaker seem like an authority and all of so
it's the quest for that newness, that newness
like
that's going to take you.
It's like being a new Christian. Or like you ever meet like somebody who just turned into a Christian and they can't wait to tell you about Christianity or something.
And it's like and there's like a bit of like treasure hunting too of like, hey, I have tuned into this. I have listened to the like right wellness coach or right podcaster or read the right book or whatever else and this is like a lot of people don't know about this and there's something like very alluring.
This definitely describes this describes me in my original foray into psychedelics, like the way I felt about it. Like when I first took like acid, I was like, man, this can change people. And I went and told everybody. And then like, here I am, over 10 years later, like some people don't need to take acid. Some people shouldn't take acid, you know. So it's like, it's just with everything, there's like an evolution of thought and a growth that comes with maturity. And it's not about your age. It's about like the knowledge and like how mature you are when you're like taking it in and thinking about it.
Right. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'd like to dig into something you said about shared experiences, I'll be honest, because I share an experience with you. I have seen The Purple Lady.
That's so many people.
Really?
She's really making her rounds. Yeah.
So I have seen The Purple Lady.
Is she a new comic?
I've done DMT twice. The first time didn't really launch, just kind of saw stuff, didn't get the hit good enough. Second time,
It's hard to smoke.
I saw her, and she brought me in. She played a harp, just not trying to bury the lead on his show, but there's a phenomenon.
She's not a big part of my show.
Okay, good. Would you call it a phenomenon?
I oftentimes don't mention her.
Really?
It's just too involved.
Oh, it's
like
crazy.
I need to write a show about her specifically.
So
because I just have too
and I
many
know
ideas.
very little about it.
So
other than hearing
just
you.
very
People
briefly, just
people see a
for
similar
listeners who may not know, there's like a phenomenon where people who take DMT and get to a certain elevated state, and they often called like blasting off. There's a phenomenon where you see this being, and people describe her in similar detail every single time.
And I actually told a story about this, and then I kind of went on a viral video and all of that. It's Comedy Central Tales from the Trip. The creator of the show, Grant Lindahl, made a lot of the animations for my current tour and everything, awesome. and so we have a mixed bag of artists that contribute to the show. However, what I'm the point I'm making is that people will, just to give listeners an idea of how common this is, a lot of people find me because I've seen stuff like this in the past, but a lot of people find me because they smoke DMT for the first time, meet this purple woman, make sense of who she is or what she is, and then one day find themselves Googling this like purple woman that they saw on DMT.
Now. I really do have goosebumps right now.
And then they
great.
see
I feel so weird because it's so personal to me
like
too.
lots of people come out to my shows because they've also met this.
So here's my question: Is this a common shared experience because of what it is, or is this this person saw this, talks about it, and then the next person who tries it, they subconsciously bring it in, and it evolves?
Right? Probably a little bit of,
because this kind of goes back. This kind of goes back to the science of what you said about the brain and how you do things, and
So to me, I actually don't think that the explanation for this is that someone got influenced.
Sure.
Okay.
Not that isn't a thing, but for many reasons. One is just I saw the purple lady like Googling physics terms. And I saw this painting of, I was like, that's her, this woman that I've been interacting with for a while. And I reached out to the person. It was some dude in Turkey that smokes DMT and paints what he sees, and that's how he does his art. And Huck and Hism is his name. And I reached out to him about it and everything. And so what I actually think is happening, I actually do not have a mystical take on it at all. I do believe it is in our brain. And I believe that it's archetypes that we all have in our brain. So a robot, when they first start training like robots, like when they first started trying to like see if you can get a robot to like say recognize a chair. Well, what they ran into is you'd have to show a picture of every chair that exists at every angle, and then the computer would brute force cycle through every picture of that to be like, that's a chair. Instead, how our brains seem to work is that we have an archetype in our head formed of what an ideal chair is, and then when we see a novel chair, it's just a flexible moving template that go like, oh,
still a chair.
It meets enough of the like criteria and everything, and then you go so you aren't like, what the fuck is that thing?
Yeah, just because it doesn't have legs, it's still a chair.
And so we have archetypes of all sorts of things, including males and females. I think that female entity is a structural part of the brain, actually, that not everyone necessarily, but many of us have. And
down to the color too.
Yeah, why purple? I have a lot of ideas about why things take the shape that they do. They're always very symmetrical, which is funny because like symmetry isn't. Symmetry is such a hard thing to make. Like if you look at anything in a DMT space is perfect and symmetrical, and so it can seem more real than this world. But if you think about the amount of processing that it would instead take to put every little bit of wrinkle in this table, like if you were, say you're making a cartoon, the first thing you'd do of the scene or whatever, you would draw this table. One of the last elements that you would do is add some of these like finer details or
the
whatever.
Texture,
that takes a lot more processing and computation, and so I think there's some of these basic structures in our brains that when we do a powerful enough psychedelic experience, I think it has something to do with actually stressing your brain in such a way that it frantically searches through aspects of your brain that you don't normally you aren't normally able to see. And so I think that you're actually seeing, like when you dream at night and there's a female there, whether it's your mom or a female
Jason's
friend
wife.
or
Mom.
Jason's wife or a stranger or you're having an orgy or whatever with whatever that might be. I think that there's like a kind of a flexible female template that is like kind of giving rise to playing all of those roles. I think that there's a male one as well, and I think that the idea that she's purple or whatever, or has like diamonds on her arms or whatever, it's just has more to do with just seeing the earlier stages of our consciousness rising up. And so it takes you draw. You ever see someone draw where they draw like the head and then they like draw the lines and the torso or whatever else, and then they start like filling in the details more.
So they could tell the orientation,
I kind of think that's what's going on. She's more like that rudimentary, flexible thing that you know to draw first.
Do you think the color? So I'm just going back because, like, back in the days, and I think of the song "Purple Haze," and you think of all the people.
The color purple.
The people. Not that one. You think of everyone tripping, but like part of it is like if you close your eyes quick, sometimes depends what light you're looking
blue
at.
And purple is
those colors come out naturally. Could it be that?
Yeah, your eyes are closed, lights under your eyes.
Just all that and just
purple. Yeah, it's combining with a lot of different experiences.
Okay.
All
I absolutely love how you're willing to find practical and not mystical explanations for things.
Some people don't. It's funny when I first started telling the stories of the purple lady, I was like, people are going to think that I'm crazy.
Yeah.
And that's not at all. Instead, everyone was like,
Same.
everyone believed it more than I believed it. I was like,
damn.
I might be remembering some of these things wrong, and people are like, nah, dude, you got a purple girlfriend in space. I'm sure.
Yeah, man. We're seeing it.
Oh,
all right. So, wow. I mean, we went on a journey.
This is the best. I cannot tell you how happy I am here sitting having this conversation with Shane Mauss.
Wonderful.
Yeah, dude.
I'm so happy right now. I feel like I'm glowing.
So I guess let's kind of bring it back to we go back to the theme of this podcast. You know,
We're dying down.
We're
here.
dying down here, but it's about us being stuck in a non-comedy market, doing comedy, trying to survive. So let's talk about like where did you start to where did you begin doing comedy?
I'm from Wisconsin originally. I started my comedy career in Boston. I caught a lot of breaks early on. I decidedly did not move to larger markets and spent most of my time on the road. The like when I did move to LA, it was for a girl. I never tried to do any kind of LA thing or whatever. I kind of we actually through I guess long journey short, we specialize much of the tour on underserved markets where people essentially with my current psychedelic show, and I have different strategies for different themed shows and like how to target different science audiences or like people that are really into animal behavior or something like that, so people know like what they're if someone came in here and had a comedy show all about football, I think that's cool that they put that together. But if I showed up not knowing that was that, I'd be like, "What the fuck is
so
this
you want to
whole
market it
thing
appropriately
about football?"
You don't want to give an
target
illusion
the
that
right
it's a regular comedy show.
and everything
It's
else.
like when we had Neil Hamburger here. People were like, "What?"
They emailed Jason like, "What the fuck was that?"
But
That's hilarious.
but as a Neil Hamburger fan, I know what I'm going into because But it's like, I get
That's
it.
all part
and
of it.
And I'll go back to this because like when you came in 2016, you told me you had it was something about Facebook and someone over there who was a fan of yours, and you got into like the marketing. You've always been an excellent like audience targeter. Does that make sense? Like you target a specific audience. I remember you telling me back in the day, like it was like something like every $2
is
is
a lot
like
more sophisticated now.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
we gotta have a talk. But I remember you telling me like every $2, that's one person you're bringing in, and like I still think of that to this day. And I really get into like, okay, who do you target and everything. But like you've taken it to you've built an audience around everything you do, and you're kind of an expert on that there.
Yeah, I have a team of people that I have several different projects going on, but they tend to overlap. And I have people that I check in with every day, sometimes multiple times a day. We have regular team meetings and stuff, and a constant we are constantly looking to refine the ways in which we have a program that we're finishing building so that when we book a venue, you can put in the criteria for it, and it just pops out every dimension of every poster that a venue could find useful with all of the relevant information and everything else, and so that it helps audience, or it helps venues, especially ones that might vary in their graphic design ability or whatever else, and it helps them. It helps standardize a thing and a look, and it just makes things easier for a venue to share and everything. It's been a long time coming, and the project's been delayed by 3 months. But there's a few things like that we're just always looking at. How can we refine this machine? I mean, the ideal with my business is that it will. I want to show up to a venue that I have whatever my arrangement is ticket wise with them. I have a consulting arrangement in them where I can show them some of the techniques that we've developed if they're interested as an offering, and we have mocktails and other products and things like that, so that bars aren't as dependent on alcohol and can have supplementary offerings for people as well. And it's all kind of a piece, and it's something that I want to learn a little something from every venue that I go to, and I hope that every venue learns a little something from our processes and what we put together as well. And so that's just something that just makes a lot of sense for a lot of aspects beyond just my comedy, but in terms of longevity and having good relationships with people and having better deals and helping a scene and other independent businesses thrive more, because we can learn and have teachable things.
It's such next level thinking.
Yeah.
It really is.
So before we wrap up, you're on this tour. How many dates are you out right now?
We're getting close to the first 100 being done. This is going to be a 222 stop, 50 state tour.
Bro.
And what's this lead into? You have a final...
October 20th, we're recording the special Denver at Meow Wolf in Denver.
Nice.
It's a kind of immersive psychedelic art space. And then that will be released.
Did I see you do a video of that space before?
I started this show at a residency.
That's the space
in Vegas. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's a space like
similar.
that.
I remember watching you walk
theirs.
through the venue, showing the art.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And then October, record that, and then are you on to your next project yet, or in your head, what's going on?
So then the special will come out in April, and then it's the decision about launching a new show or doing everything internationally, which will probably be a little bit of a mix of both. I have a docu-series that I'm currently filming that I don't know when we're going to start releasing it. My guess is it would be around the same time.
Nice.
Yeah,
All right.
got a lot going on.
The project man.
All right.
God.
This is a wonderful chat. Thank you so
happy.
Yeah, this is. We're not even to the show yet. I'm all right. Thank you. So where can everyone find you on all the socials?
ShaneMauss.com. Yeah, hopefully that website will be overhauled within the next couple of weeks, and then be extremely fancy with some fun things we've been working on. But that's a good place to start.
Can I give you a tip?
Yeah.
When someone goes to the website, their mouse icon is the purple lady.
Oh, that's not bad.
With big
That's not
titties.
bad.
Let's go. We're dying down here.
Thank you, bud.
Appreciate you.
Cheers, guys.
That was so fun.
Thank you.
All right, and we are.